What is up, YouTube? Slifer here with a top 5 video. Today I want to cover the top 5 decks that have impacted the way I look at the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! These are not the top 5 decks that I enjoyed playing. These are not the top 5 decks that I enjoyed playing against. These are not the top 5 decks I think are that good. These are the top 5 decks that have changed the way I look at the game, how I play the game, maybe side decking taught me something valuable. These are the top 5 decks that have impacted me as a player. So starting it off with number 5, you have Madolche. This deck was built by a friend. It's never one I've actually personally played, except maybe once for a random let's swap decks and see how we do making a fool out of each other's deck game. But what I do know about the deck, you've got Angeli, which was like a $40 boss card as it came out. Tiramisu doesn't target. This is what taught me the value of cards that don't target and how strong they really are in the game. You've got Hoot Cake unlocks your plays, your Cat opens up plays, Ticket and Chateau puts stuff back and lets you plus, and then you've got Palooza if you really want to fuck your opponent over and FTK them. And the deck's just really, really solid, really, really good performer. It taught me... Honestly, it taught me a lot of how to play the game and about how to outplus your opponent, how to read what they have on the field. The guy I knew who played this, it was honestly the player as much as it was the deck, would bluff set a lot. I learned a lot about reading back row, reading set cards, reading hand traps. He'd run Maxi and Veiler, or he'd side them out into something else. And overall, playing him in the deck was just really, really valuable for expanding myself as a player, and he was a really great guy to play test against. Well, still is. Number 4. We have Crystal Beast or Crystal Chaos. This was one of my first competitive decks. This was the deck that I set out when, okay, I'm going to build this archetype deck. Before this I was running, it's like crap mishmash dragons that like ran mass dragons and then just relied on your opponent crashing into them and then dropping Dragon's Mirror fusing for 5-headed and then swinging for game. Maybe you'd equip Megamorph, maybe not, who knows. It was equally stupid. This was the first deck I really set out to build and enjoyed playing. I ran it with Rainbow Dragon, I ran it with Malefic Rainbow Dragon because I figured the field spell had this wonderful number 1 clause right here, that it can't be destroyed if you have 1 card in the spell and trap zone. This was one of the first cards I tucked Grand Mole into, and loved Grand Mole. First deck I learned Overlay with. I didn't really understand the concept of going plus or losing advantage when I built this deck. Well, when I first built it with the Rainbow Dragons. And so I was running one of each, and it was really, really clumpy. But it's probably the 3rd most winningest deck I've ever had. And it earns a spot on this list because it was my deck. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I feel like I innovated it when I did play it. And this is the current version I'm running when I do play it for fun. I may update this, take it back to locals just to see, but, you know, fun deck. Then we have number 3, Gravekeepers. The build up on screen right now, just a heads up, this is crap. Probably ditch the Prohibition. Shrine of Necro Valley, I thought it was going to be good, because it's like a theme to vanities, but it's not. But my brother ran this deck, and for the longest time, this would be what I'd play test against. This would be the deck. When the support came out, Imperial Tombs and the Hidden Temples made the deck that much better. My brother absolutely loves playing this deck. He still does play it. And for me personally, it was the first deck I learned to read what they have, what cards your opponent's gone through, all these little things that you never realize that you actually pick up. This was the deck I learned on. And then it was one of the first decks I learned to side deck or main Mystical Space Typhoons, because when you're playing a deck that revolves around Dragons in the Grave and then dropping Dragon's Mirror to win, and you have to banish stuff, Necro Valley is a bitch. Or if you're playing Monster Reborn back when it was legal a few formats ago, Necro Valley would stop you from that, stops your Call of the Haunteds. Really, really great deck, really, really fun anti-meta deck. If you want a good anti-meta deck that's going to be cheap, this is the deck to pick up. I enjoyed it, my brother loves it, it's a great deck. Then, let's see, that's number 3. So we have number 2, Mecha Gadgets. The build on screen's one I've tossed around, I've played with. Honestly, when I played this deck, I didn't even play my own variant. I borrowed this from a friend, Bailey. A great guy, amazing player. Deserves a lot for playing this deck, even though I didn't realize that he basically took Imco 4D's build and adapted that. But you know, you get your inspiration from wherever you get it. This deck, I borrowed his, and then I played it for like 2 months. And this is the deck I learned the concept of going plus with. Losing, winning advantage, that Mecha Fortress is a boss, the value and power of Dracosack, even though I didn't have one. I did finally get a big guy. I ran Master of Blades for the longest time. Redox, dumping it with Foolish, banishing your gadgets. Tin Goldfish was killer. My favorite thing to do was Tin Goldfish, Gadget, Gear Giant, detach Goldfish, target Goldfish in the grave, a Goldfish back to hand. Now that I think about it, it didn't really deck thin, but I enjoyed doing it. I thought it was fun. You could go Gear Frame. Honestly, this should be running Birdman too, because you can bounce your gadgets back or your Tin Goldfish with Birdman. Then you have them again. You have that reoccurrence play. What to ditch? Cut Fortress to 1 because you can search it. I don't know, I'll try it. You can search Birdman with your Giant X, so you have synchro plays. Birdman lets you make Black Rose. This is the deck I learned the value of Birdman, the value of cards that search, the Stratoses of the decks, if you will, and that you never underestimate the gadgets. The other thing about this deck is that I didn't do it when I played the deck, but you can side deck all the Floodgate cards you want. You can main Prohibition if you're really that daring. You can main Space. You can do a lot with the deck. It was really fun when I played it. I'll probably rebuild it to play it again. All in all, epic deck. Honorable mentions go to Dragon Rulers. I didn't really play competitively when that deck was around. I was just getting back into playing again, so not a lot of experience with that deck. Six Sams, the deck that I absolutely hated. Ancient Gears, another deck I hated. Light Swarms, a deck that I didn't really understand at first when I played against it. I was like, you're sending your own stuff to the grave? Isn't that a reason to run a 60-card deck so you don't deck yourself out? But now that I actually played it a little bit myself, I understand the deck, and I realized that how good it was and how easily I could have beaten it. Other decks. Evos, shout out to McScrubbins, major Evo player. And the big three right now, Shaddoll, Burning Abyss, and Stellar Knights. I didn't include any of those on this list because I've played against them, but not enough to have developed personal experience with the decks. And despite the fact that I have a affair for Burning Abyss, yeah, not going to go into those. Number 1, Hieradix. That is not Hieradix. Fortune's babe, mirror by... Or, to be more precise, Hereticy Dragons. This is just a current alliteration of the deck I've played with. One of the first decks that I learned inside and out. When I set out to play it, I set out to memorize all their effects. I know almost all these guys' effects by heart, except maybe Ugors and Utragodia. I still have to read them to get the wordings right. I know everything by heart. I love this deck. I know every single FTK, every single OTK, all the combos, how to go plus, how you go negative, when to activate Reckless Greed, when to Burial, what to dump when you Dragon Shrine. Maybe you dump both normals, because drawing on the E-Dragons isn't that bad. Dump a normal and an E-Dragon if you have a play. All this stuff, love the deck, and it's one of the decks I have the most wins under my belt with, both in real life and online, despite the fact that I have not ran the deck now. I haven't ran the deck consistently now for almost 3 months, but I played it for almost 2 years now. All-time favorite deck. Cannot go wrong with it. All the side deck options, major toolbox, card Ds like your plus, Swift Scarecrows to stop, Swift Scarecrows, and Redoxes like Monster Reborn for anything. You can run Red Eyes, you cannot run Red Eyes, you can run Title, you cannot run Title. I've done it all with this deck. Favorite deck, hands down. Drop the mic. I'm gone. I'm out. Fortune's babe, mirror bane, gone insane, but the memory remains. Okay, so let's be real. The deck isn't competitive anymore. It's not competitive, I'm sorry. But it still holds a special place in my heart, and it's one of the decks that has had the most impact on me playing as a competitive and even casual player.